Hey, wide awake family. If you see this, it's your sign to smash that like button. Yes, you listening right now. That way YouTube shows you more amazing stories like this one. We love you all. Now enjoy the stories. I think the only reason I even said yes to meeting him was because he seemed normal. Like, painfully normal. His profile was just him at cave, him walking his dog, him holding a dumb smoothie. No weird gym angles or mirror pics. He wrote stuff like he loves cooking pasta and he's bad at bowling. Just some regular guy, right? I thought it was actually kind of nice. I'm so used to weirdos bragging or trying too hard. He was chill. His name was Daniel. He suggested we hang out at his place because he was gonna make dinner and show me this horror movie he said I'd love. He lived not far from me and he sent his location. It all looked safe. I told my friend where I was going and everything, so I wasn't being stupid or anything. I got to his apartment building around like 7 p.m. It was one of those tall packed buildings near the main road, the ones where every hallway looks the same. He buzzed me in and I went up to the 5th floor. He was waiting by the door, smiling like he'd been standing there the whole time. I joked in my mind that maybe he didn't move from that exact spot since I said I was on my way. He hugged me quick, like a little awkward pat kind of hug, and then let me inside. Right at the entrance, I saw a picture frame hanging. I didn't think much of it, just a portrait of a girl. I kept walking, and then I saw another same girl. She looked familiar, but I thought maybe she just had one of those faces. Then I realized something weird. The girl in the photos looked like me. Not exactly like now me, but like younger me. Hair longer, braces, different style. I stopped in the hallway and stared at one of them. I'm not kidding. It was me in a park, sitting on a bench with a book in my hand. I read that book in year 10. I even recognized the hoodie. I swear I had that hoodie in blue with a tiny little stain near the sleeve. The picture on his wall had that same stain. I told myself maybe he had a sister who just looked like me. But deep down my stomach was already turning. I walked into the living room and my heart dropped. Every single wall was covered in framed photos. Photos of me. Some looked like they were taken on streets near my old school. Some were scanned versions of school pictures. One was literally from a normal bus ride I took years ago. Me with headphones on, staring out the window. I never posted that. How did he even get that? I turned to him and he acted like nothing was weird. He just said dinner would be ready soon like this wasn't the creepiest thing ever. I asked where he got these pictures and he just smiled like it was some wholesome surprise. He said he always felt connected to me long before we matched. He said he'd seen me around town many times and always wanted to talk to me. He said it like that was totally fine. I could hear my heartbeat in my ears. I told him I needed some water. I didn't even care about the water. I just needed an excuse to step closer to the door. He told me to sit on the couch and relax because there was something else he wanted to show me. I didn't sit. I kept backing away toward the exit. He stepped forward and blocked me gently with his arm, still smiling, like he thought I was being shy or something. He told me I wouldn't understand yet, but everything was meant to happen this way. He pointed at a picture near the TV. It was me at a supermarket. I was holding a basket filled with snacks. That was from last month. His voice got softer when he explained that he'd been watching me for years. He knew my routine. He said he remembered the first day he saw me when I was walking home from school with a backpack that was too heavy for me. I wanted to scream. He said he waited because he wanted it to be perfect. And when he saw I was on the app, he knew it was a sign. He said he liked that I swiped right first. I didn't even remember doing that. Probably did it without thinking, just swiping through. I told him I should go home because I forgot I had something important. He finally frowned. Not angry, just disappointed, like I hurt his feelings. He told me I shouldn't leave yet because the food was almost done. I took another step back and reached for my phone in my pocket. My hand was shaking. He noticed and shook his head slowly. He said I didn't need to call anyone. Everything I needed was already there. He walked away into the kitchen. The second he turned his back, I grabbed my shoes without even putting them on and ran to the door. I unlocked it so fast that I dropped the handle and had to yank it twice. I sprinted into the hallway barefoot. I heard him calling my name behind me, not loud, just calm, which somehow made it worse. I didn't look back. I just ran down the stairs all the way to the bottom and out the building. I didn't stop running until I reached the bus stop. I wasn't even crying. I was just silently panicking, trying not to pass out. I texted my friend to meet me somewhere. When I finally got home, I locked my door and checked every window over and over like 10 times. The next morning, I checked his profile. Gone. Completely gone like it never existed. I tried to block him anyway, but he wasn't there. I considered reporting him, but what might even say? He has photos of me from like 5 years ago. How do I explain that without sounding like I'm losing it? I keep thinking about how long he must have watched me. How many times I walked near him without knowing. Maybe he was behind me once in the shop. Maybe he was on the same bus. Maybe he followed me home once and I never noticed. Maybe he still does. I deleted the app the same night. I moved rooms in the flat because I got scared of the big window by my bed. I swear sometimes I feel like someone's watching again. I don't see anything, but I still feel it, like he's just waiting for me to swipe right somewhere else. I'm not even the type of guy who usually goes for dating apps like that. Most of the time I match with people who never reply, or they just want something weird. But this one girl, Lily, she seemed like the type you'd actually meet in real life. Her profile wasn't trying too hard. She had a picture of her eating ice cream, another one with a bike, and one with a goofy smile. She wrote that she likes late night drives and horror movies. Honestly, she looked normal enough for me to give it a try. We talked for like a few days. Nothing crazy. Just random stuff about school, what we both watch, her job at some clothing shop. She kept joking about how she had the best cooking skills, and I needed to try one of her homemade meals one day. I thought that meant maybe in like a week or something, but she asked if I wanted to come over that Friday. She promised she'd make lasagna and said her roommates were chill. I didn't think twice. I said, yeah, sure. Friday comes, and I'm kind of nervous because it's been a while since I've gone to someone's apartment for a first meetup. She sent her address, and it was this small house near the old skate park. The area was kind of quiet and dark, but whenever I rang the doorbell. She opened the door, and she actually looked better in person. Same smile as in her pictures. She hugged me and told me to come inside. The first thing I noticed was how hot it was inside, like she had the heating on full blast or something. The lights were kind of dim too, like yellow lamps everywhere. The house smelled like fresh bread, but also like strong hairspray. I didn't say anything though. She grabbed my jacket to hang it up and told me to come meet her roommates because they were excited to meet me. I walked with her into the dining room, and that's when everything got super weird. There were 3 people sitting at the table, but they weren't people. They were mannequins, not even like fancy ones. They looked all messed up like she got them from a thrift shop. Their hands were stiff, and their plastic fingers were chipped. Each one had a wig that didn't fit right. One had a long blonde wig with a crooked parting. Another had black curly hair, but it was all tangled. The third had red hair, and the face paint was faded so the lips looked smudged. They were wearing clothes like regular outfits, but they looked all wrinkled and old. They were all posed like a normal family, just sitting there with plates in front of them like they were waiting to be served. She walked over to one of them, the blonde one, and rested her hand on its shoulder like she was proud of it. She said, "These are my roommates." She said their names all casually like this was the most normal thing ever. I literally didn't know what to say. I just stood there staring like I'd walked into a prank. I thought maybe she was a cosplayer or she collected mannequins as some weird hobby. I tried to laugh a little and asked if she did this for fun or whatever. She looked at me like I said something offensive. She said they aren't toys. She said she doesn't like when people disrespect them. I was like, okay, fine. This is just strange, but maybe she's joking. She motioned me to sit next to the mannequin with the red wig. I sat down slowly and tried not to look at their blank faces because honestly it was freaking me out. She served the food herself. She actually put food on their plates, like cut pieces and set napkins by their hands. She filled their glasses with water like she fully expected them to drink it. I was sweating but trying so hard to be polite because I didn't want to freak her out. She asked if I was okay and I just nodded. She sat next to me and started talking about how she found her roommates. She said she found them one by one over the years, like actual roommates who just happened to be mannequins. She said they don't talk back, but they listen. She said they are better than real people because they don't let her down. The way she said it, she wasn't joking at all. I pushed my food around the plate pretending to eat. The mannequins just sat there staring into nothing. One of them had a slight lean forward like it was frozen mid-movement. I kept thinking, what if they move? What if she waits for me to go to sleep and then they're suddenly standing by the door or something? She asked me what I thought about them. I couldn't say anything that would make her mad, so I just said they look really unique. She smiled like she was proud of herself. She told me she takes care of them, and they take care of her. Then she said I fit in really well, like I belonged there, like I could be part of their family. I didn't even finish my food. I told her I had to go home because my dogs needed feeding. I don't even have a dog, but that was the first thing that popped into my head. She frowned and asked if I didn't want dessert. She spent all day making this special cake. I said I'll try it another time, but I really needed to leave right now. She stared at me way too long, like her eyes didn't blink. Then she suddenly smiled again and said okay, but I promised I'd visit again. I stood up and the chair scraped the floor super loud. I hurried to get my jacket and shoes. The mannequins were just in the corner of my eye, and I swear the black-haired one wasn't facing the same way as before. Maybe I imagined it because I was panicking. She followed me to the door and asked if I wanted to say goodbye to her roommates. I said they're probably tired after dinner. She stared at me again, but didn't say anything. I left so fast I almost tripped down the stairs. I didn't stop walking until I reached the bus stop down the road. I swear I felt like someone was watching me the whole way. Not like from far behind, more like up in one of the windows. The house looked the same as any other on the street, but I knew those plastic eyes were probably facing the door waiting for her to bring her next guest. I'd locked her instantly when I got home, deleted the app, locked my door. I still think about those mannequins. I keep imagining them at that table still, frozen with their dumb wigs and clothes. She probably talks to them every day like they're alive. She probably tells them how rude I was for leaving so soon. Maybe she sets another place at the table now. Maybe she tells them I'll come back. I honestly thought this guy was gonna be one of the normal ones. His name was Ryan. He had one of those soft smiles and a cute dog in his pics. He didn't message like a creep. He didn't ask weird questions. He just seemed like a nice guy who liked cooking and hiking and working from home. We talked for like a week before we decided to meet. He suggested I come over to his place because he made homemade burgers and wanted me to try them. I know that sounds fast, but he sent to social media he had real friends tagged. His job looked legit. So I thought, okay, I'll go for it. He lived in a nice area with those houses that all looked the same but still seemed expensive. His dog barked when I knocked and he answered super fast like he'd been waiting right at the door. He hugged me, the dog sniffed my shoes, and everything felt surprisingly relaxed. His home was really clean too, not like some guys I've met who have laundry mountains and dust everywhere. He played quiet music and had fairy lights in his living room like he cared about the vibe. Dinner was actually really good. He cooked perfectly. We talked about everything from school to bad movies to weird apps. I kinda liked him a lot. He made me laugh and he didn't do anything weird or pushy. He just seemed happy I was there. After eating, he asked if I wanted to look around because he had a cool office set up upstairs. And I was like, sure, why not? We went up the stairs and the dog followed us halfway before laying down on one of the steps like he was tired or something. Upstairs there were 3 doors. One to his room, one to a bathroom, and another one at the end of the hallway. He showed me his room first, and it was simple bed, dresser, normal posters. Then he walked past the last door, the one at the end, and I swear he walked a little faster like he didn't want me to look at it too long. And that made me want to look. Because something was taped onto that door. A white piece of paper. I only saw a bit of it when he passed, but it had writing on it. My name. In big letters. Just sitting there like it belonged to me. Curiosity basically forced me to walk back toward it. He noticed and immediately tried to tell me maybe we should watch a movie downstairs instead. He talked fast, almost tripping over his own words. That's what made me reach the door faster. I looked at the paper fully then. It wasn't just my name. Under my name it said tomorrow's date, like a label, like something was planned. My heart stopped for a second. I asked him what the hell this was. He tried to laugh, but it sounded fake. He said it was a joke. He said he just put it there to freak me out, like a prank, but the look on his face didn't match the joke. His eyes kept going to the dog on the stairs, then back to me like he was checking something, like he was waiting for something. I tried the door handle. It was locked. He stepped toward me quickly like he wanted to grab my wrist, but then stopped himself. He said not to open it because it was just storage inside and messy. But why would a storage door need my name on it and tomorrow's date? I asked again, and he just kept saying it was nothing, over and over, like he didn't know what else to say. I told him to open it. He said no. I told him to give me the key. He said he didn't have it on him. I asked him where it was. He said somewhere. Somewhere. Who even says that? Somewhere. Then the dog suddenly stood up and started barking at the door. Not like random barking, but like angry barking. Hair up, teeth showing, staring at that locked door like something on the other side was moving. I jumped back and Ryan yelled the dog's name like he was scared the barking would ruin something. I started walking backwards toward the stairs. I told him I wanted to go home right now. He kept saying, please stay. Please don't leave yet. He promised it was nothing. His face wasn't soft and nice anymore. It was tight, stiff. He looked annoyed but scared at the same time. He kept glancing at that door like it was a ticking bomb. I said I was leaving and headed down the stairs. He followed me really close behind, too close. I didn't look back because I didn't want him to see how scared I was. I reached the bottom and put my shoes on like lightning. The dog came next to me and didn't go back upstairs. Ryan stood there on the step above me and kept saying I misunderstood everything. I said I'd text him later, but obviously I wasn't going to. When I opened the door, he finally raised his voice a bit and asked me not to tell anyone about the door. That made me almost run. I stepped outside and the dog slipped through the doorway too. Ryan grabbed the dog's collar and pulled him back inside like he didn't want the dog near me. He said bye in this weird quiet tone and shut the door softly. I didn't even look behind me while walking. I raced down the street and called a ride home. When I got home, I blocked him everywhere. Then I saved the picture I secretly took of that door label when he wasn't looking. My name. Tomorrow's date. Like I was scheduled for something. Something planned long before I even came. I haven't told anyone because I know it sounds insane. Maybe he writes names on doors for fun or some prank gone wrong. Maybe it was his messed up humor. But something about his face when the dog barked. That wasn't a joke. That was fear. Fear that someone or something was about to ruin whatever he planned. The date on the paper already passed. I didn't leave my house that day. I barely even slept. I kept checking every lock, every curtain, scared he would show up. He hasn't messaged me, but sometimes I think about that room. The way he panicked. The way the dog reacted. The way my name was waiting there like it belonged. I keep thinking what would have happened if I stayed just one more night. I swear this all started because I was bored. That's literally it. I downloaded the app again after deleting it like 100 times before. I told myself I wasn't going to take it serious, just swiping to kill time. Then she matched with me. Her name was Mia. She had this warm-looking smile in every picture and these huge brown eyes that made her look really friendly. Her profile said she loved art and she made sculptures in her spare time. She messaged first, which surprised me. She kept saying how much she liked my smile in my photos. I barely even smile in photos, so I wasn't sure what she meant. But she kept going on about it like it was her favorite thing ever. We talked for maybe like 3 days before she asked to meet. She wanted something casual like a cafe in town. I had nothing else to do, so I said yes. It felt easy, like meeting someone from school who you kind of know already. I get to the cafe and she's already inside waiting at a corner table. She waved at me with both hands like she was super excited. I sat down and she just stared at my face for a bit too long. Not smiling, just studying me. Then she burst out apologizing and said she was just happy to finally see my smile in person. I didn't know what to say, so I kinda laughed. She asked me to smile properly so she could see how my teeth looked. I thought she was joking, but she kept watching my mouth like she wanted to count each tooth. The cafe music was playing loud, so we had to lean in a bit to hear each other. She asked about my day and my job, the usual stuff. But every time I relaxed my face, even for a second, she would say smile again. Every single time. I tried to laugh it off, but it was getting awkward. She said she was an artist, and she was really into faces. She asked if she could take a quick picture. I said I don't like photos, and she immediately looked weirded out like I'd insulted her personally. Then she smiled again and said never mind, she'd just memorize it. After we finished eating, she asked if we could walk around the park near the cafe. I figured why not. The sun was setting, and it wasn't even late. We walked side by side, and she kept pulling this huge bag up her shoulder. It looked heavy, like she was smuggling bricks in there. I asked what she carried in it, and she just said her art stuff. She asked me to stop for a second and smile, then wider, then without teeth, then with more teeth, then relax, then wide again. I started feeling like this wasn't a date. It was like I was being used for some weird hobby. At some point, she started rummaging inside her bag like she lost something. I stood there awkward while she looked through it. Then I saw it. This weird pale object inside. I thought it was a doll at first, but then I noticed the shape. It looked like a face. My face. Or at least something close. I saw a half-formed nose, a stretched-out mouth shape, cheekbones, clay or something like that. She pulled her bag closed real quick like she didn't want me to see it. She smiled at me again, too wide this time, and asked if I was cold. I told her I had to go soon because I had work early. She said no problem, but asked if I could stay one more minute because the lighting at that very moment was perfect. She said my smile looked amazing in that kind of sunset glow. Then she reached into her bag again and like she was gonna take something out. I stepped back from her. I said I really needed to leave now and turned like I was walking toward the bus stop. She grabbed my arm. Not hard, but enough to make me stop. She said she wasn't finished yet. She said she needed one more look at my teeth. She said she needed the angle to be exactly right. Her voice didn't even sound cute anymore. It sounded flat and weird. I pulled my arm away and told her I had to go and I was already late. She kept saying, please, please just one more smile. She almost sounded desperate. Her eyes didn't look friendly anymore. They looked hungry. But she wasn't asking politely. She needed it. I told her goodbye and started walking fast. I didn't run because that would make it too obvious that I was freaked out, but I was ready to sprint if she tried anything. I heard her bag rustle, and then fast footsteps behind me. I turned and she was on her knees in the grass digging through the bag like she dropped something important. Then she started packing everything up quickly and stood. She yelled that she'd see me soon, like I promised her or something. I kept walking, faster. I looked back one more time and she was just staring dead at me with that stupid smile, her bag hanging open and clay smeared on her hands. She didn't wave. She didn't move. She just stared. I blocked her on everything when I got home, but that wasn't the end. 2 days later, I woke up to 3 notifications. Private numbers. Unknown caller. Then I saw one message from some random account. No words. Just a picture. It was a clay face again, but more finished now. The mouth was shaped exactly like mine when I smiled wide. The teeth were carved to match mine. I stared at the message for so long my phone screen dimmed. I deleted it instantly. Then another message came. Same clay face, but with eyes added. Painted brown like mine. Eyebrows too. Then one more. This time it had hair glued on and tiny details around the jaw and ears. It didn't look like a sculpture anymore. It looked like someone cut my face off and laid it on the table. That's when I blocked that account too. I reported the number. I turned my phone on silent for days. I didn't go back to that park. I didn't take selfies. I didn't smile much around people. Sometimes I think about how obsessed she was with my mouth, my teeth. How hard she stared when I tried to relax my face. How excited she got when I smiled wider. I keep thinking she's not done. Maybe she's still working on that clay thing. Maybe she's trying to make it perfect. Maybe she's waiting for a chance to get the final details right. Maybe she's waiting to match the real thing. I wasn't even sure why I matched with her at first. Her profile looked kinda unfinished, like she made it in 5 minutes. She only had 2 pictures. One where she was sitting on her bed smiling at the camera, and another where she was outside holding a milkshake. Her bio just said she likes chicken nuggets and hates spiders. But she messaged me first, and she was actually really funny. Her name was Ellie. We talked every day for like a week. Nothing deep, just stupid jokes and memes. She kept saying she wanted to meet soon, that she hated long texting stages. Finally, she suggested we meet up at a burger place near the train station. When I got there, she was already waiting outside. She looked exactly like her pictures and honestly even better. She hugged me right away and told me she was starving. We ordered and sat in a booth. The conversation was normal at first, just random stuff about school and what shows we'd watch. But she wouldn't stop staring at me, like full eye contact that lasted too long. Every time I looked down to eat, she would ask if I was having a good time, like she needed reassurance every 2 seconds. She kept asking me weird questions too, like if anyone knew where I was or if I lived alone or how often I see my family. I told her my mom calls me all the time, and she asked if she could talk to her. I laughed because who asks that? She didn't laugh back. She looked serious and repeated the question slower like I didn't hear it right. I told her maybe another time, not on the first date. She said she just wanted to make sure I was real. Then she said something about how she's had bad luck with guys lying. She leaned in and said if I didn't want to do it, then maybe I wasn't who I said I was. I was confused but tried to play it cool. I said I am me, no one else, and she said then prove it and call my mom on FaceTime. I honestly thought she was joking again, but she pulled her phone out and placed it right in the middle of the table like she was about to make the call herself. She said she would even call her mom too so we could both show each other we're real. I told her seriously I don't want to call my mom right now in a burger place. She stared at me without blinking. Then she said it first. She grabbed her phone quick and tapped into a FaceTime call with someone named Mummy. It rang twice before it connected. The screen showed a woman sitting on a sofa in a living room. The weird thing was the woman looked almost exactly like Ellie. Same hair, same eyes, same smile. I mean, I know daughters look like their mums, but this was like they were cloned. The woman waved and said hi in the exact same voice Ellie had. Same pitch, same tone. But the weirdest thing was her mouth didn't match the words. Like the sound was from someone else, but the lips were just opening and closing late or early or not enough. I stared at the screen trying to figure out if it was glitching, but everything else looked smooth. The mum kept talking, but the mouth looked like a robot trying to imitate speech. Ellie was smiling huge like she was proud. She said, "See, that's my mum." The woman on the screen kept moving her hands in the same way Ellie did. Same gestures, like if Ellie tilted her head. The mum tilted her head a second later, almost like she was copying. Ellie handed the phone closer to me and asked me to say hi. I waved awkwardly, but the mum's eyes didn't look at me. She kept looking directly at Ellie, like I wasn't there. Then she said my name, full name. Even though I swear I didn't tell anyone on the call, her lips didn't match the sound again. It was like a voiceover. Ellie laughed like it was cute. I felt a tight feeling in my throat and said I really needed to use the bathroom. She frowned to let me go. I took my phone and walked toward the back of the restaurant. But instead of the bathroom, I went to the exit near the kitchen where Stacko had dumped trash outside. The second I stepped out, my phone buzzed. Private number. Then another. Then a video message notification from Ellie. I didn't open it. I just kept walking fast. The alley behind the restaurant was dark and smelled like bins, but I didn't care. I turned the corner and got onto the main road, walking so fast I almost ran. My phone kept buzzing like someone was blowing it up. Ellie calling. Private number calling. Notification after notification. I didn't check any of them. I just kept walking until I reached the bus stop. I got on the first bus that came, didn't even care where it was going. I sat by the window and finally checked one message. It was a video. Ellie and her mom both on screen, both smiling, both saying my name, but this time the audio matched neither of their mouths. It sounded like they were speaking through the same voice, like one person playing two roles badly. Then both of them tilted their heads at the exact same time. Same angle, same speed, like someone controlled them. I blocked her immediately. I blocked everything. I shut my phone off and shoved it in my pocket like it was poisoned. Next morning, I woke up with 9 missed calls from a private number and 1 voicemail. I listened to a tiny part, then deleted it. It was the identical voice, saying my full name slowly like it was testing it, like practicing. I even uninstalled the app completely, but I kept thinking about that FaceTime. The mum, her mouth barely moving right, the timing off. How she knew my name, how they mirrored each other. I haven't talked to Ellie since, but sometimes I think about the possibility that no one else was there at all. Like maybe that call wasn't a call. Maybe it was a reflection, the same person duplicated, or something pretending to be 2 people and failing. Every time my phone rings and I don't know the number, I just imagine that same voice waiting on the other end, smiling with a mouth that doesn't match. Everyone always jokes that dating apps will get you killed. Like, haha, careful, you might end up in a ditch. People say that stuff all the time. I always laughed along because I thought the worst thing that could happen was an awkward date where we both pretend to enjoy overpriced fries. I never thought someone would actually plan something messed up, especially someone who looked like she couldn't hurt a fly. Her name was Amelia. She had long brown hair, freckles, and this soft voice that made you feel calm without even trying. We matched in like 2 minutes. She said she liked that I looked sweet in my pictures. I said she looked cute in hers. Basic stuff. She didn't waste time, though. She asked if I wanted to meet up within the first day of talking. Normally, that would sound desperate, but she framed it like she hated texting and preferred real life. I was bored. I said sure. She suggested a romantic walk after dinner. Her exact words. I asked where, and she just sent a pin to this road near the park. I didn't realize until I was already on the bus that the road leads to the cemetery behind the old church. I told myself maybe she just lived near there. Like maybe we'd walk past it, not inside. But when we met, she was already waiting at the cemetery gate, dressed in black, holding a little bag. She smiled at me like this was totally normal. She hugged me and said she loved cemeteries because they were peaceful. No noise, no crowds, no lies. It was kind of weird, but I didn't want to be rude. So I told her that I guess that made sense. The wind was cold and the trees made this creepy swishing sound. The sky was kind of cloudy, but the moon still peeked through. I shoved my hands in my pockets and walked next to her while she talked about random stuff. Like how she believes life doesn't end when someone goes underground. She said she visited this place a lot because she liked to learn the names on the stones and make up stories about the people. She said maybe someday someone would make up a story about me too. I laughed a little, but it came out shaky. She led me deeper into the cemetery, past old graves with faded writing, past statues of angels with cracked faces. The dirt path eventually turned into grass, and the graves started looking newer, like they were just made. Some still had flowers that weren't dead yet. Then she stopped walking. She looked at me with that same soft smile and said she wanted to show me something special. She grabbed my sleeve and gently pulled me toward a grave that was covered with a dark cloth, a big rectangular shape of fresh dirt around it. There were piles of soil next to it like workers had just dug it up. I could smell the dirt, like it was just turned today. She knelt down and grabbed the cloth. She looked up and asked if I was ready. I didn't even know what she meant. Before I could answer, she pulled the cloth away. I swear my brain froze. There was a polished stone. Fresh, clean, no dust, and my full name carved into it. My first name, my middle name, my last name, and the date below it wasn't a death date from years ago or even months ago. It was tomorrow, literally tomorrow. My legs felt like they were made of concrete. I couldn't breathe for a second. I asked her what kind of joke this was. She stood up slowly, brushed dirt from her jeans. She said it wasn't a joke. She said she planned this for a long time. She said it felt right, like fate. I backed up and almost tripped on another grave. She stepped closer. She held my arm, not tight, but like she didn't want me to run. She kept talking like we were on a picnic and not standing over my own grave. She said she wanted me to feel special, that every love story should have a beautiful ending. She said she didn't want me to be like other people who just disappear without someone caring. She said she would care. She already did. I yanked my arm away hard. She tried to grab me again, but I stepped farther back. The panic finally kicked in and I turned around and started walking fast. Not running yet because I didn't want to seem like prey. I told her I needed air. I told her I needed to leave. My voice cracked so bad. She didn't chase. She just said she would wait for me. I kept walking toward the gate. Every step felt like the ground was trying to pull me down into it. I didn't look behind me for a long time. When I finally did, she was standing next to that grave, holding her small bag, staring at me. She didn't move. Didn't say anything else. I left the cemetery and almost sprinted the rest of the way home. I didn't even text her. I blocked her right away. But the whole bus ride, I couldn't stop thinking about how she knew my full name. Not just when I put on the app. She knew my middle name. I never post that anywhere. I never even talk about it. How did she know it? And how did she pick the exact date? What was she planning for tomorrow? I barely slept. I kept checking the locks and looking outside the window like she'd be standing there watching me. Morning felt like it wouldn't come. When it did, I stayed inside the whole day. Curtains shut. Door locked. I messaged my friend and told him everything. He thought I was messing around until I described the stone. Then he told me to call the police. I didn't. I didn't want them thinking I was crazy. Who believed a story like that anyway? When nighttime came, I didn't move from my bed. I listened for any sound. Cars, footsteps, anything. The day that was carved on the stone eventually passed. I was still alive. I thought maybe she left town. Maybe she forgot about me. I wish that was true. Last week, I walked past the mirror and saw a little card tucked in the frame. I didn't put it there. I never would have missed it. It was white with neat handwriting. Just 6 words. You missed our romantic walk 2.0. Then a tiny drawing of a heart. I burned the card, but that didn't help. I can't relax anymore. Every time I close my eyes, I see that gravestone. My name carved in perfect letters, waiting for me to lay down, waiting for her to fill the dirt back up. I always thought people who collect weird stuff were kinda cool, like movie posters or comic books or random photos. Nothing too creepy. When I matched with Zoe, I didn't expect anything insane. Her pics were pretty normal. One selfie in a car, one with her cat, one a cafe. She had this cute, messy hairstyle like she didn't overthink her looks. Her bio said she liked late night chats and deep talks. I guess I fell for that because I'd been bored for months. We messaged for like 5 days. She was super quick to reply every time, but the second I sent something, she already had something back. She told me I made her laugh and that she liked how open I was. I didn't think I was that open, but whatever. She asked if I wanted to come over and hang out, maybe watch a movie. She said her parents were away and she hated being alone. I kinda liked how direct she was, so I agreed. I told my friend where I was going like every safety rule said to do, but I honestly wasn't worried. Her house was at the end of a quiet road. Lights on in just her room upstairs. She opened the door already smiling huge like she waited behind it the whole time. She hugged me and said she was so glad I came. She smelled like strawberry shampoo and something colder underneath like metal. I didn't think too much of it. She led me inside, straight through the living room and up the stairs. No tour, no pause, just straight to her bedroom. I didn't even have time to admire anything downstairs because she kept saying she had something cool to show me. She opened her door and told me to come in first. I stepped inside and everything looked like a normal teenage girl bedroom. Pink blanket, fairy lights, shelves with dumb little figures and perfumes. I actually thought, wow, she's normal. Finally. Then I turned a little more toward the left side of the room. At first I thought it was wallpaper, just messy writing everywhere. But then my eyes focused and I realized every single piece of the wall was covered in sticky notes. Hundreds, maybe thousands. Every inch of the wall, yellow squares stuck one over another like layers of thoughts. I walked closer without even realizing. They weren't quotes or drawings or homework reminders. They were messages, like actual messages. Sentences that looked like stuff you'd send on apps. I leaned in and read one. It said something like, "Hey, I think we should meet up soon. I feel like I already know you." I moved to another. "You seem so cool. I promise I'm real. I promise I'm not like other guys." The next one. "I can tell you're different. We're meant to be. Just give me a chance." All of them were written in the same handwriting. Hers. But they weren't messages from me. They were to random names. Loads of different names. Some had hearts next to them. Some had angry scribbles like she scratched something out. I noticed some had dates, like months apart. But some were for just last week, then yesterday, then earlier today. She came behind me and wrapped her arm around mine. She said she liked keeping memories. She said every message she ever sent needed to be somewhere she could look at. She said she never wanted to forget the conversations that helped her grow. She said each person was special to her story. I stared at one sticky note near the top. It wasn't a flirty message. It said, "Why did you block me? I thought we liked each other. Why are you lying?" Another one below it said, "I know where you live. Stop ignoring me." The one beside it said, "Don't make me come over. I just want to talk." The handwriting got messier the more I looked. My stomach started to twist. I felt sweat under my shirt. I told her I needed water. She laughed like I was being silly and pointed to a tiny fridge in the corner. She said I could help myself. Her voice sounded normal, but her eyes didn't. They looked like she was waiting for something, waiting for me to react wrong. I asked her why she wrote all that. She said because she never wanted to lose anyone again. She said people always act interested then leave. She said she collects conversations so they can't escape her. She said she liked mine the most. She pointed to a clear space on the wall, a perfect square of space. She said that spot was for me. She said she just hadn't decided which of my messages to put up yet. My phone suddenly buzzed in my pocket, and she flinched like someone popped a balloon. I pulled it out quick, hoping it would be my escape. It was my friend texting asking if everything was good. I typed back super fast, "Yeah, it's fine," then stared at the send button. I hesitated. I wanted to scream help, but I didn't want to set her off. She stepped closer to me. She asked if I liked her wall. I forced a smile and said it was interesting. She grabbed my wrist gently but tight enough that I couldn't move away without making it obvious. She said she wanted to show me something else. She pointed behind the door. There was a stack of sticky notepads, like dozens of them, fresh, new, ready. She said she already started writing some messages from our chat tonight. She said she memorized them. She said she didn't want to lose any piece of me. She asked if I could help her stick them up. She asked if I would hold the ladder while she reached the top part. She said trust is important. I told her actually I felt kind of sick. Maybe the burger I ate earlier was bad. I said I needed air. She looked disappointed but not angry. She let go of my wrist and said, okay, but please don't take long. She said she would wait in the room for me. She said I better come back. She said she didn't like when someone leaves without telling her. I walked downstairs pretending to be calm. The second I turned the corner, I sprinted. Shoes on. Door open. Out into the cold as fast as I could. I could swear I heard her voice from her window calling my name. Soft but sharp. I didn't look back. When I reached the main road, I finally checked my phone. New notification. A message from her. Not on the app. She had my number somehow. It said I thought you liked deep talks, don't leave yet. Then another one. I know where you live. Then another. If you block me, I'll rewrite everything by hand from memory. I blocked her. Deleted the app. I barely sleep now, because sometimes I'd imagine that wall. That empty square space waiting for my words, waiting for my name. And I wonder if she's still writing. Filling new notes with conversations we never had so she can pretend I didn't leave. I always thought worst case on a dating app was meeting someone boring. Someone who only talks about their gym routine or their crypto coins. I never thought I'd end up running barefoot through a stranger's hallway because she tried to drum me. Like, that's a sentence I never thought I'd say. But here we are. Her name was Jess. She looked normal in her pics. Pretty hair, warm smile, some basic mirror selfies. Her bio said she was into mental health and self-improvement, and she believed everyone deserved to be the best version of themselves. I didn't think much of it. We talked about music and our favorite takeaway spots. She told me she was a part-time model, but she also helped people through a little wellness business she was building. I thought that sounded ambitious and cool. After like a week, she asked if I wanted to come over. She said she could cook for me, and we could watch some new show she was obsessed with. I didn't see a reason to say no. She sent her address, and I got a lift there. It was a nice place. Kind of isolated, but still in a neighborhood, not in the middle of the woods or anything. She greeted me with a huge hug like we'd been best friends for years. Her perfume was strong, floral, but weirdly sharp. She led me inside, and the house actually looked super clean. Candles lit. Blankets everywhere. It felt comfortable. Too comfortable, maybe. She made pasta that tasted surprisingly good. We sat on her couch, and she kept sitting closer and closer, which I didn't mind at first. We were talking about random stuff when she suddenly said I looked nervous. I wasn't. I literally felt fine. I told her that, and she tilted her head like she didn't believe me. She went to her purse and pulled out this tiny round white pill in a clear plastic bag. She said it was something that helped take the edge off. She told me everyone deserves to relax and enjoy the moment. I said I was already relaxed. She kept insisting. She said it was perfectly safe, and she takes one every time she has company over. She said trust is important. She said if I didn't take it, maybe I didn't trust her. I told her I just didn't like taking random meds. She didn't smile this time. Instead, her face tightened, like she was disappointed. She asked again. I said no again. She stared at me for a long time, silent. Then she shoved the bag back into her purse aggressively like she was offended. We sat in awkward silence for a bit, and I tried to change the subject by complimenting her cooking. She didn't reply. She just stood up and said she needed to grab something from upstairs. I said okay and stayed seated. When she left the room, I suddenly planned an exit strategy in my head. I wasn't scared yet, but my brain was like, maybe leave soon. I waited, but she didn't come back for a while. I called out her name and no answer. So I stood up and tried to find the bathroom just to kill time. There were 2 doors past the kitchen. One cracked open and one closed fully. I went to the cracked one first thinking bathroom, but no. It was like a weird storage room. Dusty shelves stacked with boxes and containers. I was about to close the door when I noticed a pile in the corner. Orange pill bottles. Lots of them. I stepped closer. Some were empty. Some had pills still inside, but each bottle had a label. Handwritten names, full names, and every name was crossed out with a marker. I noticed some names I recognized. Not personally, but from her Instagram page she made me follow. Men who showed up in her selfies once or twice, then vanished. There were dates scribbled on some of the bottles, months apart, but some lined up exactly with the time she must have met them. My stomach dropped. I stepped away like the bottles would jump at me. I backed into another shelf and something fell. A bottle rolled out. I picked it up without thinking. That one had my name written on it. My full name, not the short one I use online. The name only on my ID. And the date on it wasn't crossed out yet. The date was tomorrow. I dropped the bottle and it clattered against another. I froze because the sound echoed way too loud. Then footsteps. Fast footsteps upstairs, coming down. I panicked and shut the door quietly, but I wasn't quick enough. She reached the bottom of the stairs and stared straight at me. Her smile looked stretched and painful now. She asked me what I was doing. I said I got lost looking for the bathroom. My voice cracked, and she definitely heard it. She stepped closer, slow and calm. Too calm. She told me not to worry about the pills. She said they were part of her wellness journey. She said she only gives them to people she cares about. She said I should take mine before it's too late. I knew I needed to leave right then. I told her I needed to go home because my friend needed me. She shook her head like a parent scolding a kid. She said that wasn't part of the plan. She reached into her purse. I backed away and ran. Not a cool run. A clumsy, desperate run. I yanked the door open and sprinted outside without my coat. I didn't stop until I reached the end of the street. I kept checking over my shoulder to make sure she wasn't behind me. I got home and locked myself in my room. I blocked her number, the app, everything. But it didn't end. The next night, the date on that bottle, I found something stuffed under my door. A small white pill in a plastic bag. Same kind. No note, just the pill. I moved houses a week later. Deleted every app. Changed my number. I try not to think about her, but sometimes I swear I catch that same sharp perfume smell in crowded places. Floral but cold. And every time I see a pill bottle anywhere, I think about those names, all crossed out, waiting for mine to join them. I swear dating apps make me feel like I'm just another face in a stack of faces. Swipe, 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 and nobody remembers anyone. That's why when I matched with this guy named Adam, and he immediately said I looked familiar, it actually felt kind of flattering. Like, wow, someone noticed me before. He said he'd seen me around about online or maybe in the city somewhere. I laughed and told him he probably mixed me up with another curly-haired girl, 'cause I'm pretty sure I'm not famous. He kept saying no, he knew me from somewhere, like he'd talked to me before. He even described a hoodie I have, gray with low paint splashes on the front. I read what he wrote like 3 times and thought maybe I posted a pic wearing it somewhere and forgot. We talked for a few days. He was actually funny. He sent voice notes sometimes, and he had this calm, deep voice that made everything sound like a movie line. He told me he doesn't match often because he's picky, and he wants someone who feels real. I liked hearing that. He asked to meet for coffee on Saturday, and I said yes because I didn't get weird vibes from him at all. The cafe was this cheap corner place next to a charity shop. He was already inside when I got there, sitting by the window like he wanted the best view. He stood up when he saw me, smiling like he'd waited his whole life for this. He hugged me right away, which was kind of fast, but not creepy. Then he stepped back and stared at my face a long time. He said it again. I know you. I tried to joke with him. Like, yeah, I'm super famous, thanks for noticing. He didn't laugh. He just stared like he was comparing me to a memory in his head. He said I even sounded the same this time. That word stuck. This time. I asked him what he meant, and he just brushed it off. He handed me a cup of coffee he'd already ordered for me and said he guessed my favorite. It was right, which was kind of creepy, but I just smiled and said, wow, good guess. We sat down and he leaned forward like the conversation was top secret. He asked if we talked before. I said nope, first time. He nodded slowly, but his face said he didn't buy it. He looked at my eyes like he was counting the colors in them. He asked if I ever go by a different name. I told him no. He asked if I ever used another profile. I told him no again. He asked if I ever posted certain locations or specific outfits online. I told him sometimes, but not a weird amount. He just kept staring. After a few minutes, he pulled out his phone and slammed it on the table like he made a decision. He said he needed to show me something and I shouldn't freak out. He opened the dating app, scrolled through his conversations, and tapped one. At the top was a profile picture. My face. Not just any picture, one that I took in my bedroom about a month ago. Same background, same makeup, same angle. My picture, but not my account. The name said Emma, not my name. And the bio was some fake nonsense like I love adventures and I'm searching for real love. I stared at the screen so long the letters started looking blurry. He scrolled through a wall of messages. Long ones. Voice notes. Flirty stuff. Some kind of personal. Like whoever this was knew things about when I moved flats and what classes I took last year. I never told anyone on dating apps that stuff. But this fake version of me had. She told him stories about growing up. Favorite films. Memories I actually had. And the worst part, he had read receipts from every message. That means he wasn't lying. He looked at me like he was trying to match my face to the one he crushed on for weeks. He asked why I ghosted him. He asked why I acted like we never spoke. He asked why I lied about my name. I told him that wasn't me. I kept saying it wasn't me. His eyes twitched like he didn't know whether to believe me or lose it. He said he felt something real with me and couldn't understand why I pretend otherwise now. I started panicking inside because that fake profile knew way too much. Someone must have stalked my socials hard. Maybe even hacked something. I asked to see the messages again, and he let me scroll. I looked at timestamps. The fake me messaged him late nights, early mornings. Constant attention like she never slept. He told her he loved how she was always awake for him. I wanted to throw his phone away just looking at that. Then I saw a picture in the chat. One I never took. It was me sleeping. My hair messy. My window behind me. Blanket crooked. It was my bed. My room. Picture taken from inside while I was asleep. I almost dropped the phone. I told him I didn't take that. He suddenly looked less sure of himself, like his anger flipped into fear. He asked if someone was watching me. I got shaky and said I didn't know. I told him I needed to go home. He didn't want me to leave alone, so he offered to walk me to the station. I said fine because honestly, I didn't want to walk alone either. He kept looking around like someone was following us. When we got there, he asked again if I truly didn't know him from before. I said no. He apologized for acting weird, but said he was so sure it was me. He said if I ever find out who's behind that profile, I should tell him. I got home and searched my whole room. Checked under the bed, inside the wardrobe, behind the curtains. My hands were shaking nonstop. I deleted the app, locked my door, but something kept nagging me. That picture, me sleeping. I checked all my windows, locked. Checked my front door, locked. Checked the back garden door, locked. But then I noticed a small scratch near the window latch, like someone tried opening it. Maybe succeeded before. Maybe once was enough to snap a photo. My phone buzzed while I was staring at it. Unknown number. I opened the notification. Image. I tapped it. Me, in my bed. Now, same blanket, same messy hair. Taken from outside the window through the tiny gap in the curtain. Posted like a trophy. My phone buzzed again. Message. I liked our talk today. He wasn't supposed to see us first. I dropped my phone and backed away from the window. I was too scared to move the curtain, but I felt someone watching. Someone close. Someone who had my pictures, my room, my life. The last message came seconds later. Don't tell them I'm real. And then a heart. I wasn't even planning to meet anyone that week. I read too many creepy app stories online and convinced myself everyone on there is either a liar or insane. But then I matched with Lena. She looked like the most regular person I'd ever seen on one of these apps. Messy bun, glasses, hoodie, giant drink from some bubble tea place. Her bio literally said she cries over ice cream sometimes. Same. She messaged first, said she liked my hoodie and my pics. We talked for hours. She typed like she was always in a rush, all one sentence, but she made me laugh. By the third day she asked to meet, I suggested a pizza place and she said yes, but we needed to sit outside. I thought she was being quirky like, oh, she just likes the breeze or whatever. I didn't ask questions. We met outside the restaurant and she hugged me straight away like she'd known me for years. She held on a bit long though. When we pulled apart, she kept glancing behind me at the door of the pizza place like someone inside was staring at her. I looked too, but I didn't see anything weird. She grabbed my arm and pulled me to the outdoor bench seating like she was dragging me away from danger. I joked about us freezing out there, but she didn't laugh. She just said she doesn't sit inside anywhere. The waitress came out and asked if we wanted to move inside because the wind was insane. The second the waitress touched the door handle, Lena said no, loud, like a panic attack was trying to get out of her. The waitress backed off and said, "Okay, sorry, just asking." Lena's breathing was fast as hell. I told her we could leave if she wanted. She shook her head and stared at the door like closing doors were bombs. I asked if she was okay. She said she's fine, she just doesn't trust doors. She said that every time a door closes, there's a chance it won't open again. I tried to laugh again, but her face wasn't joking. She said closed doors change things. She said anything can happen in a closed room and no one outside will know. Her voice cracked a little like she was remembering something bad. Pizza came and she barely ate. While I chewed, she scanned every person who walked in or out like she was keeping inventory of their faces. When people left, she looked relieved. When people entered, she stiffened. I kept trying to lighten the mood, asking about her cat and her weird favorite movies, and she'd be normal for a second, laughing and talking fast. But anytime the restaurant door shut all the way, she froze again. After like an hour, she said she needed air and asked if we could go for a walk. I agreed because I didn't want her freaking out. She grabbed the pizza box even though we barely ate it and held it like a shield. We walked toward the park nearby. No buildings, no doors. She instantly relaxed. It was like watching someone switch from panic mode to normal in seconds. We sat on a bench, and she thanked me like I had saved her life. She looked exhausted. She said she trusted me. I asked why she trusted someone she literally just met, and she said because I don't close doors. I had no idea what that meant. She said some people open doors just so they can trap you after. She said you can always tell by how they look at the handle. I didn't want to push too hard, but I asked her what happened to make her like this. She stopped speaking and her eyes went wide, staring at the ground like a pit just opened beneath us. She said last year she met a guy from an app. She said she followed him inside somewhere unfamiliar. She said the second the door shut behind her, her world changed. She said it didn't feel like the same place anymore. She said she doesn't like talking about it. She said closed rooms make people disappear. I told her she's safe now. She said she's only safe outside. She said outside means doors can't turn into traps. She kept repeating outside under her breath like a comfort spell. I checked the time and said I needed to head home soon. She instantly grabbed my wrist like she didn't want me to go. She asked if we could hang out longer in a place with no doors. I said maybe another day, and she nodded slowly, like she was memorizing my answer. She said one more thing before I left. She said I should always look at walls before trusting someone's house. I asked what that meant, and she just said you'll know if it's wrong. Then she said please don't go anywhere alone with someone who locks things. She looked truly scared for me, not herself. Me. We walked back to the main road, and she asked if she could walk me home. I said no because I didn't want her to see exactly where I live. She looked hurt but nodded. She hugged me goodbye and told me she'll message me as soon as she's sure no one followed us. I went home kind of freaked but trying to be rational. Trauma makes people act strange, right? Maybe she was in therapy or something. I actually felt bad for her. I told her I got home safe and she sent like 6 thank you messages in a row. Later that night, I was lying in bed scrolling when I heard my front door close. I thought it was the wind or my roommate until I remembered he was out of town. I sat up and listened. Quiet, then footsteps, slow, downstairs, like someone was taking their time, like someone who wasn't afraid of closed spaces at all. My phone buzzed. It was a message from Lena. Do you trust doors now? Another message right after. They already closed it behind me. My chest felt like concrete. I didn't move. I just stared at my door waiting to see the handle twitch, waiting to see it turn, waiting to hear her voice for someone else's. I don't know who came in. I don't know if they left. I didn't hear the door again. I never messaged her back. I deleted the app. I sleep with the window open now and the lights on, because I finally understand what she meant. Doors don't just keep things out. They keep things in. I thought I finally caught a break with dating apps. I matched with this guy called Ryan. He looked normal, sounded normal, had this casual vibe like someone who actually had a life outside of scrolling and pretending to be interesting. We talked for weeks. Not every second of the day, but enough that I kept checking my phone a bit too often. He was into football, gym, normal stuff. No weird stories, no random disappearances. That alone felt rare. He kept saying how excited he was for me to meet his brother one day because his brother was his closest person. He talked about him like every family photo was the two of them. Every childhood memory involved both of them. Like they didn't do anything alone, ever. Cool, whatever. Some people are close to their siblings. I didn't think too deep into it. We finally planned a date. Just Nando's. Nothing crazy. I reached first, so I waited near the entrance pretending to text someone so I didn't look like a lonely idiot. Then I saw him walking up. Hoodie, black jeans, same haircut from his pictures. I was actually surprised he looked like his pics. Already a win. He hugged me right away, quick and normal. Then he said he wanted to introduce me to his brother first, because his brother was already inside saving us a table. That threw me off. I thought the brother thing was like later when it's actually a relationship. But I just went along since acting weird at the start ruins everything. We walked inside. The restaurant was kind of busy, so I had to squeeze past tables behind him. He stopped near a booth. He said, "Here he is." And there he was. His brother. Except it was him. Same hairstyle, same thick eyebrows, same exact hoodie, same exact jeans, everything. Down to the shoes. And he just sat there staring at me. Not eating. Not drinking. Just staring with his hands perfectly together on the table. I tried to make a joke about twins or some prank, but neither laughed. The one sitting down just nodded like he already knew me. Ryan slid into the booth beside his brother instead of across from me. So I had to sit opposite them both. The tension was instant. I said they looked extremely alike. They didn't comment. The one next to the window kept tilting his head slightly whenever I spoke, like I was a puzzle piece he was checking the edges of. I asked if they were twins. Ryan said no. The other guy said no at the exact same time. Same voice, same way of talking, like they rehearsed it. Then they both smiled. That's when I properly freaked out inside my head. I didn't show it though because I didn't want to look rude or cause some scene and end up on CCTV like a clown. Ryan started talking about growing up. But every tiny thing he said, the brother beside him would look straight at him with this weird anticipation, then nod like he approved the answer. It made zero sense, like he was checking if Ryan was telling the truth about their own childhood. I asked the brother's name. They said Tom, again at the same exact time. But that didn't feel right. The name didn't fit the staring silent version of Ryan. I kept trying to talk to them one by one, but whenever I looked at one, the other would lean slightly forward like they wanted equal attention. I tried to eat, but my hands were a bit shaky holding the fork, and I kept dropping chips. Halfway through, I said I needed to go toilet. They didn't respond. They just stared until I stood up. Then they both smiled again. That was somehow worse than anything they could have said. In the toilet, I stayed longer and texted my friend to call me with some emergency. Classic excuse. I read a couple messages from earlier just to keep my mind off the fact that two identical guys were sitting out there waiting for me. I tried to breathe and think if I should just leave through the back exit. But it was Nando's. There was no discreet way out. I eventually walked back to the table because disappearing seemed even more insane. When I came back, the brother who was sitting in the window spot was now sitting where Ryan had been. And Ryan was sitting where the brother was. They swapped places. Same expressions, same posture, like they wanted to test if I would notice. I definitely noticed. I pretended I didn't. They asked if I wanted dessert. Again, same exact tone, said at the same time. I said no. I said I actually needed to go soon because of college work. I could feel my hands sweating under the table. They both nodded slowly while just staring. They didn't even look at each other like normal siblings check for a reaction. It was like one mind and two bodies. Ryan insisted he walk me to my bus stop. I said no thanks, my friend's picking me up. He stared at me harder, like he didn't believe one thing I said anymore. The brother did too. Same movement, same timing. I left the restaurant and didn't turn back. I pretended to be on a call with someone until I got far enough. I didn't even go to my usual bus stop. I walked 2 streets down and waited there. The entire time I expected to see both of them walking behind me at the same exact pace. I had matched him and blocked his number immediately. Later that night, my phone pinged with an unknown number. It was just one message. We both liked you. I blocked that one too. Thought that'd be the end. Next morning, I checked the app without thinking and saw a new match. Same name, same pictures, but the bio now said we come as a pair. And when I checked outside my window before leaving for uni, there were two guys standing on the pavement across the road. Same hoodies, same stance. Both staring straight up at me like they already knew exactly which window was mine. People act like dating apps are random luck. Swipe, swipe, and maybe you find someone who doesn't make you want to throw your phone in the river. That's what I thought anyway. So when I matched with a girl named Aria, I figured it was just that. Luck. I didn't swipe right expecting anything big. She looked cool, smiling in every picture. A little too perfect, but whatever. We matched. We talked. It felt normal. From the first message, she said it felt meant to be. She kept typing that we were soul connections, that we matched for a reason. I left it off and joked that the reason was because she swiped right first. She didn't laugh. She doubled down and said she had been waiting for me specifically. I thought maybe she was just flirty in a weird way. Some people love that over-the-top romance talk. We talked for hours every night. She'd ask everything about my day, what time I woke up, what I ate, who I saw, if I texted anyone else. I thought she was just curious. I didn't want to assume the worst. She'd always end the conversation calling us destined, and I'd roll my eyes, but I'd keep texting because it was kind of flattering. Like, wow, someone actually cares enough to obsess a little. We planned to meet up after a week. We chose this coffee shop near my place. I got there 10 minutes early. She arrived right on time with this huge smile like she already knew every move I was going to make. She hugged me like we'd been together forever and said she couldn't believe fate finally brought us together in person. I thought, okay, she's intense, but she seemed harmless. She looked normal enough. Cute sweater, boots, normal hairstyle. Not someone who you run away from instantly. We sat and ordered drinks, and she kept staring at my face like she was memorizing every detail. She asked if I believed in destiny. I told her I mostly believed in my phone giving my data to apps that profit off loneliness. She didn't like that answer. She leaned in and whispered that if I ever saw how we actually matched, I'd understand. I asked what she meant, and she just said soon, like it was some secret reveal. After coffee, we walked around the park. She held my arm, even though I wasn't holding hers back. She pointed to random couples and said stuff like, look, they aren't even special together like we are. She asked if I felt a connection growing. I nodded just to keep things chill. When we said goodbye, she kissed me really fast without warning. Then she whispered that she knew I'd be thinking about her as soon as I got home. I told myself she was just passionate and left it there. I tried to brush off the vibe that something was wrong. That night, I opened the app to reread our messages, and something was weird. At the top where it normally says how you matched, it said, matched by special recommendation. I had never seen that before. Usually it says you both liked each other. So I went to the app help page and looked it up. It said the app never forces matches and that every match must be mutual. No such thing as special recommendation. It wasn't a feature. My chest tightened a little, but I tried not to freak out. Maybe it glitched. Technology glitches all the time. Still though, I scrolled up through our chat. There was a message she'd sent that I swear wasn't there before. I chose you. Those 3 words, just sitting there like they were normal. I decided to sleep and ignore everything until the next morning. But when I plugged my phone in, I noticed the charging cable felt loose. I looked closer and saw the tiny part near the connector was cracked open, like someone had peeled it back and put it back together. I never noticed before. Had she touched my phone at the cave? I read our conversation again to calm myself down, but it didn't help. The next day, she texted me good morning exactly at the minute my alarm usually goes off. She asked if I slept well and said she dreamt of our future. She said she knew the app didn't do our match justice because she did something better. She wrote, I helped bring us together. I make sure the app didn't mess it up. Suddenly, my stomach hurt. I asked what she meant. She didn't hesitate. She said she saw my profile before I ever saw hers. She said she knew instantly we belonged together. She said she couldn't risk me swiping the wrong way. So she hacked into my phone. She used some tracking links she sent earlier disguised as a meme. She said she got into the app through that. She forced the match. Her exact message burned into my eyes. Matches are random only for people who don't try hard enough. She kept going. She said she saw everything in my phone. My contacts, my messages, my pictures. She knew where I live. She said she had been checking my location to make sure I wasn't seeing anyone else. She even mentioned places I'd been that I hadn't told her about. Then she sent me a photo of me, taken from behind while I was walking home yesterday. She must have followed me and I didn't notice. The streetlight made my shadow look stretched and wrong. I felt like I couldn't breathe. I locked my phone because I didn't know what else to do. My doorbell rang 3 times. Slow, like she wanted me to know it wasn't a mistake. I froze in the middle of my room. I didn't move. I didn't say anything. The doorbell rang again. Then my phone buzzed. I'm here. Let's open the door to our future. I didn't. I moved quietly to my window and checked the street. A girl was standing there in that same sweater from yesterday, looking straight up like she knew which window was mine. Her eyes were wide and she just stood there smiling. My phone buzzed again. Why are you hiding? We're meant to be. I blocked her before she finished typing her next message. Then I called my friend and asked if I could stay the night. I grabbed a backpack as fast as I could and slipped out through the back of the building. When I came back the next morning, the hallway was empty. No sign of her. I checked my phone carefully before turning it on again. No new messages. No missed calls. Nothing. I deleted the app, reset my whole phone. But I don't know if that actually stops her. Because sometimes late at night, I hear a single knock on the door. Always soft. Always slow. And I check the window but no one is there. Then a message will appear from a random number. You can't run from destiny. I matched with a girl named Rowan who seemed cool in a different kind of way. Not trying hard to look perfect like everyone else. Her pics were messy. One with paint all over her shirt. One sitting on a roof eating chips straight from the bag. One of her laughing so hard the photo was blurry. She said she was an artist and worked at this old printing company part-time. She complained a lot about how boring her job was, but she still mentioned it all the time like it mattered to her. She kept saying one day she'd show me where she works because it's a huge part of her life. We chatted for like 2 weeks before meeting. She was funny. Weird but funny. The kind of girl who would send a photo of a pigeon and write a whole story about its day like she was living in its head. I liked that about her. She asked a lot of questions too. Not boring ones. Things like what smell do I remember most from childhood? Stuff that made me think more than I expected to. When we finally decided to meet, she picked this random bubble tea place in town. She showed up late, but she brought me a sticker of a cartoon cat she drew by hand, so I forgave her instantly. We sat on a bench outside, talking about shows and random stuff we hated. Everything was easy. She wasn't awkward. She didn't check her phone every 2 seconds. It felt like we'd been friends forever. Then she randomly asked if I wanted to see where she works. She said it like it was a big honor. Like I'd be the first person she ever let into her private world. I said, yeah, sure, thinking we'd just hop on a bus or something and go to some normal building. But she said we had to walk, and it was a little out of the way. She wasn't lying. After like 20 minutes walking through regular streets, she led me through this fenced path behind an abandoned shopping center. The ground was cracked and plants were growing through it. She pointed out weird graffiti like she already knew every inch of the place. Then we reached this massive building that looked dead. The windows were boarded up. The bricks were discolored. It looked like a factory that closed like 50 years ago. I laughed thinking she was joking, but she grabbed my hand and said this was it. The printing company. I told her there's no way this place was still running, and she just grinned like she knew something I didn't. She found a small door on the side that was unlocked. She opened it and waved for me to go in first. I hesitated, but she looked so excited I didn't want to ruin the mood. Inside was dark but not pitch black. Some light came in through gaps in the boards over the windows. The air smelled like old dust and something like metal. My footsteps echoed like we were in a huge empty warehouse. Rowan walked ahead like she was totally familiar with everything here. She said she usually comes during the evening because that's when she likes to work. She said she's more creative when everyone else is gone. We turned a corner and found this long hallway with office doors on each side. The walls were covered in old posters with faded logos and worker rules from like the 90s. She skipped ahead to a whiteboard near the end of the hallway. It was one of those boards where employees write their names under their departments. Except all the names were smudged and dusty, except one. Rowan, freshly written in clean black marker. I stared at it for way too long. It looked brand new, like someone wrote it 5 minutes before we arrived. I asked when she last worked a shift, and she said earlier today. But there was no sound in this building. No machines. No power. Nothing. I pointed that out, and she rolled her eyes like I was being dramatic. She said they let employees work on their own time now, and she likes the quiet. She pushed open one of the office doors, and inside were stacks of old paper, broken chairs, and machines that hadn't been used in forever. She sat at a desk like she had done it 100 times. She told me this place used to be full of workers and noise. She said she keeps it alive by being here. Like if she leaves, the whole building dies properly. I laughed, but she didn't. She slid off the desk and took me to the back where the printing machines were. Huge metal things with dried ink stuck to every surface. She ran her hand across one like she was petting an animal. She said she likes imagining them turning on again one day, that she's waiting for that moment. Then I asked a simple question. Who's your boss? She stopped smiling. She said no one ever comes here except her. She said she still has an employee number and work to do even if she doesn't see other staff. I told her companies don't just leave buildings open with 0 employees. She shrugged like that wasn't important. She said the company closed years ago, but her job didn't. My skin started crawling a bit. The whole situation didn't make sense. I tried to play it cool, though. I said maybe we should go back outside and get some air. She grabbed my wrist tight, way tighter than I expected. She said she brought me here so I could understand her, so I could see how serious she is about the things she loves. There was a loud slam somewhere deeper in the building, like a door hitting a wall. I jumped. Rowan didn't. She said I shouldn't worry. She said the building shifts sometimes, but it sounded like someone else was there. I whispered, asking if she was sure we were alone. She nodded without looking at me. But I could hear footsteps now, slow and heavy, coming closer through the hallway. Rowan whispered that they shouldn't see me. My heart dropped. Who? She pulled me behind one of the machines and told me to crouch. The footsteps got louder. Whoever it was walked into the room. The sound of boots scraping the concrete floor. I held my breath and peeked a tiny bit. A man in a dirty uniform, holding a flashlight, looking around like he was checking something. He looked angry, tired, real. Rowan's nails dug into my arm. I whispered, asking who he was. She said he used to be her manager. I said used to. She nodded. She said he still checks in sometimes even though he's not supposed to be alive. That was it for me. The second the man turned his back, I got up and backed away slowly. Rowan tried grabbing me again, but I pulled free. I told her I had to go. I didn't care if I sounded rude. I ran toward the door we entered from. I didn't hear the footsteps following, but I heard Rowan calling my name, begging me to stay and not leave her alone again. Again. I made it out and didn't stop running until I was back on the main street with lights and other people and life. I blocked her number before she even got the chance to text me. But that night at 2 a.m., someone sent me a picture. The employee board. My name written right underneath hers. Clean, fresh, like they were waiting for me to clock in. I always thought if a guy on a dating app mentioned he had kids, that meant he had his life together more than most. Like, yeah, he made choices, maybe some mistakes, but he's probably more mature than the ones who just want to meet up in parking lots at midnight. So when I matched with a guy named Aaron and he said he had 2 kids, I actually felt kind of relieved. He seemed grounded, stable. He had pictures of a house behind him in every selfie. A big friendly smile. He talked about bedtime routines and school runs like he was doing his best. I respected that. We talked for about a week before meeting. He always kept the convo light, but also sort of deep sometimes. Like he'd talk about his favorite cartoons he used to watch with his kids and how they like crafts and painting. He'd say stuff like they're his entire world. It honestly made my heart melt a bit. It made him seem sweet instead of clingy. Then he asked if I wanted to come over one evening. He said he'd make dinner and it would be nice for me to meet the kids. Most guys would stress about timing that kind of thing, but he seemed excited. I wasn't sure if it was too soon, but he said I didn't have to stay long. Just a quick introduction. He promised they'd love me. He sounded so sure that I thought, yeah, okay, why not? His house was exactly like his pictures. Nice, clean, 2 floors, garden out front, a cute little swing set. I stood outside and pictured little kids playing on it, laughing. It made me smile. I knocked and he opened the door fast like he'd been waiting right behind it. He looked a bit more nervous in person, sweat on his forehead even though it wasn't hot outside, but he was polite. He told me I looked pretty and his voice cracked like he really meant it. Inside smelled like baby powder. He said the kids were in the living room playing and we could say hello before dinner. He took my jacket and told me not to be surprised if I was shy. I nodded like I was preparing to meet actual children. He led me to the living room and that's when everything broke. 2 fully grown adults sat in the middle of the floor wearing giant onesies. Baby onesies, like the kind real toddlers wear but stretched tight across their bodies. One had a bib with cartoon ducks on it. The other had a pacifier hanging from their neck with a clip. They were coloring messy scribbles in a Disney coloring book. Crayons everywhere. Giggles way too deep and loud to belong to kids. They both turned to look at me at the same time, their eyes wide, smiling too big, like they were told exactly how to behave. Aaron looked so proud. He introduced them as Lily and Max, the kids. He said they were just excited to meet me. The one called Max lifted his arms up at me like he wanted me to pick him up. Except he was like 6 foot tall. He opened his mouth and made these weird baby noises. Not funny baby noises, just wrong. I stepped back and bumped into a toy chest filled with rattles, bottles, and oversized nappies. Adult-sized nappies. I couldn't speak. My brain was refusing to accept what I was seeing. The girl, Lily, started crawling toward me on her hands and knees, but she was too big, her knees thudding hard against the carpet like it hurt, but she wasn't allowed to stop. She grabbed a stuffed bunny and held it up to me like a toddler showing off a favorite toy. Aaron clapped and said he told them to be on their best behavior. He told me he normally doesn't introduce his girlfriends to them so soon, but he felt a real connection with me. He said not everyone understands his family. His family. The 2 adults sat there, drool sliding down Max's chin, both of them staring at me with these desperate eyes like they wanted approval, like they needed it to exist properly. I tried to force a laugh and said something about maybe they were joking. He looked confused like he didn't know what I meant. He explained like he'd explained it a million times. They are happiest when they can be how they really are. I didn't understand. My chest was tight. I asked where their real parents were. His face changed. He stepped between me and them, blocking my view. He said they weren't going back there. He said he was the only one who ever cared enough to take them in. He said I could help him raise them right, be a family. He said they'd been excited all day because he told them they might finally get a mom again. Max crawled closer and grabbed the bottom of my jeans, tugging like a baby wanting attention but with adult strength. I tried to pull my leg back gently so I wouldn't freak him out, but he gripped harder. His fingernails dove into my ankle. The pacifier around his neck swung back and forth. His whole body was shaking like he might scream if I didn't respond the way he expected. Aaron said I should sit down with them. He said they wanted to show me the crayon drawings they made of our future home. He pointed to the fridge. There were pictures taped up everywhere. Crayon drawings of a family. A man with a beard that looked like him. A woman with long hair that looked too much like mine. 2 smaller stick figures holding hands with the grown ones. A house with 4 windows. I didn't wait any longer. I said I needed the bathroom and walked out of the room as calmly as I could. He smiled like everything was normal and pointed down the hallway. As soon as I turned the corner, I ran, straight to the front door. I didn't even grab my jacket. I yanked the door open, but it stuck for a second like it was latched from the inside. I pulled harder. It opened. I sprinted down the driveway and didn't turn around. I heard him behind me calling my name. Not yelling, just calling. Calm, like he thought I'd come back. I didn't. I kept running until I reached the main road and found other people walking past. I waited there until my breathing slowed down. Then I ordered a ride and kept scanning the street the whole time, expecting him to come after me with those kids crawling behind him. He texted me later saying they missed me and didn't understand why I got scared. He said I should give them another chance. He said Lily cried when I left. He sent a photo. The 2 grown kids looking at the door like they were waiting for me. Huge grins, eyes wide open, holding hands. I blocked him, deleted the app, and now every time a guy mentions having kids, I'm done. Dating apps are wild. One second you're laughing at a guy posing with a fish, and the next second you're actually meeting up with someone who seems normal enough to trust with your evening. When I matched with this guy named Leo, he seemed pretty harmless. Not super charming, not weird either. Just a regular dude who worked in tech and liked movies and dogs. His profile said he was looking for something real. I thought whatever, that's what they all say, but he seemed polite, so I gave him a chance. We met at this outdoor street food market, the kind where there's fairy lights everywhere and everyone's taking pictures for Instagram. He was already there when I arrived, waiting by a churro stand, holding a drink he bought for me already. That should have been a bit of a red flag, like what if I hated that drink? But I told myself to stop being picky. He looked exactly like his pictures. Tallish, clean haircut, hoodie and jeans. He smiled a little too wide when he saw me. We walked around at first, talking about random things like music and pets. It was fine. Nothing crazy interesting, but not awkward either. Then he asked if he could take a picture of me. I thought he might have a little cute date pic. Maybe he was proud to be seen with me or whatever. He took a few photos of me eating churros, laughing, just basic stuff. He showed me one of them, and it was actually pretty good, so I didn't think anything weird about it. He kept saying how photogenic I was, how I looked perfect in every lighting. He said my smile was his new favorite thing. It was kind of cheesy, but okay. I let it slide because guys rarely hype you up like that without expecting something. He asked if we'd take a selfie together later. I just nodded. We sat down on a bench to eat properly. He put his phone away and we talked more. I was starting to relax and actually like him. I asked if he had any siblings. He started talking about growing up, and I noticed him reaching for his phone again. I thought maybe he got a notification. But no, he was swiping through those photos he took of me, zooming in on one. I asked what he was doing, and he kind of jumped, like I caught him doing something private. He said he was just checking the editing tools, wanting to brighten the picture. Normal enough excuse. I looked away for a minute, watching the live van across the market. When I looked back, he was still messing with his phone, but he was acting more secretive about it now, holding it closer to his chest. Something felt off. I leaned slightly to one side like I was stretching, trying to see his screen. At first it looked like just a picture of me, but then I noticed the background wasn't the food market anymore. It was some kind of decorated venue with white roses and people in formal clothes standing around. The lighting looked professional, and I saw it more clearly. It was a wedding. My body tensed. It looked like one of those photos photographers take where the bride is standing by herself before walking down the aisle. But instead of a bride, it was my face he had put onto another woman's body. The dress was obviously not mine. The hair wasn't even my style. My head looked edited on top of hers in this creepy way that wasn't even hidden well. I froze. He didn't notice at first. He was too focused on adjusting something. The angle, the brightness, I don't know. I tapped his arm and asked what that was. He instantly locked his phone and shoved it into his pocket. His whole vibe changed like I just caught him doing a crime. He gave a weird excuse about messing around with filters and templates. I asked him again why he was editing my face onto someone else's wedding photos. His eyes got wide, and he looked around like he was making sure no one was watching us. He whispered that he does photo editing as a hobby, and he just wanted to see what I'd look like in a white dress. That wasn't a good enough answer. Not even close. He said he makes fake pictures all the time, like fantasy stuff. I told him to show me the rest. He refused. I stood up and backed away from him because I suddenly wanted distance between us. He said I was ruining the vibe, and he didn't mean anything wrong. He said he was trying to imagine a future. He said he thinks I'm the one. This was the first date. I barely knew his last name. I told him I was leaving. He tried to stand up, but his backpack strap got stuck on the bench, and he fumbled with it. I used that moment to walk fast into the nearest crowd. I didn't look back. I ordered a ride and waited near security because my heart was racing so fast I thought I might faint. Before the car arrived, my phone buzzed. It was a message from him. Please don't be scared. You looked beautiful in them. We do perfect. Before I could even block him, another message came through, a photo, another wedding picture. This time we were both in it. He had replaced the groom's face with his own. It was us, smiling like we were already married. I blocked him immediately. I tried not to cry on the ride home, but my stomach was twisted up. When I got home, I turned my phone off completely. I kept thinking about how easily he did that, how quickly he imagined me as his wife. Hobby probably had way more of those edited pictures saved. It's been a few days and I'm trying not to think about it. But now I can't even take a normal photo without wondering who might be turning me into someone I never agreed to be. Someone's bride. Someone's property in their own head. And the scariest part is that I met him in public, in front of people, in daylight. What if the next one isn't that public? I got way too confident with dating apps. I had like 3 decent matches in a row, so I started thinking maybe I was actually good at this. That's how I ended up agreeing to go out with a girl named Sierra after barely talking for a day. She had pictures that gave off rich girl vibes. Expensive clothes, fancy mirror selfies, those kind of kitchens that only exist in ads. She said she loved cooking and wanted to make me a proper date night dinner instead of meeting in some noisy place. I was like, yeah, sure, why not? No one ever cooks for me. She sent me an address in a really nice neighborhood. The kind where the grass is always perfect and the houses have those huge windows that look like shops. I didn't want to look shocked when I got there, but I definitely was. The place was nicer than anywhere I've ever been. Long driveway, big trees lined up perfectly, 2 cars parked out front that looked way too expensive to just be chilling there. She answered the door instantly like she had been standing there waiting for me. She looked even better in person. Nicely dressed, makeup done right, and confident like she belongs in places like this. She gave me a quick hug and pulled me inside. The whole hallway smelled like candles and the lights were warm and soft. There were framed pictures everywhere of a couple who looked kind of older. She said those were her aunt and uncle, and she was house sitting for a month. Her kitchen was insane. Marble counters, huge fridge, everything spotless. She had food already laid out. Steak, some cheesy potato thing, and little snacks I can't even pronounce. I joked that she basically hired a whole chef to impress me. She laughed and said she's just used to living like this. That's when I started thinking, damn, maybe she really is rich. We sat in the living room while the food finished cooking. The couch was huge and felt brand new. She told me to make myself at home. I kept looking around because every little detail looked perfect. A massive TV, a fireplace that turned on with a button, shelves filled with books that actually looked untouched. I tried sitting casual, but I was definitely nervous. I've never dated someone on this level. She brought us drinks and we talked for like an hour. Everything was smooth. She was funny, asked good questions, didn't make anything weird. I was actually thinking this might be the best date I've ever been on. She started holding my hand while she talked, like she was already comfortable with me. I started thinking I could get used to this. Then the front door opened. It wasn't loud, but it wasn't quiet either. Just a normal door sound. Sierra froze. She didn't even breathe. I thought maybe she was expecting her aunt or uncle back early. I said something like, did they come home? She didn't even respond. She just mouthed one word at me, hide. I thought she was joking at first. Then I heard voices. A woman's voice complaining about the traffic. A man talking about dinner plans, and keys dropping on a bowl near the entrance. My heart dropped so fast because it hit me that Sierra wasn't house sitting. These were the real owners. She grabbed my wrist and pulled me off the couch. She dragged me toward the stairs like she already had a hiding spot planned. We rushed into a bedroom upstairs, and she shut the door without making a sound. She whispered that they weren't supposed to be home until next week. Her hands were shaking like crazy. I asked why she thought this was a good idea, and she just stared at me. She said she wanted me to think she had her life together. She said she just wanted to impress someone for once. That this house was her dream. Her voice cracked like she was about to cry, but then she went silent again because footsteps were coming up the stairs. The man and woman were talking about how the alarm system didn't go off when they entered. They were confused, but not panicking. Sierra pulled me into the closet and closed the door behind us. The gap under the door showed their shadows in the room. They were looking around. The woman kept saying she was sure she left the window closed earlier. Then I saw the shadow of the man getting closer to the closet. I squared my chest, felt like it might explode. I couldn't breathe right. Sierra had her hand over her mouth like she might pass out. The closet door shook. The handle moved. Then the man stopped and walked away. The woman called him to check the backyard because she thought maybe someone broke in earlier. Their shadows disappeared. Sierra opened the closet just a little, enough for us to hear them going back downstairs. She told me the only way out was the back door. We moved slow, step by step, trying not to leave anything out of place. She kept apologizing under her breath like that helped anything. We reached the living room and the couple was in the kitchen now. I could see them from the corner of the wall. They were arguing quietly like they didn't want to freak each other out. Sierra pointed at the back door. It felt like it was miles away. I tried not to make a sound walking, but the floor creaked once. The woman snapped her head around instantly. We didn't wait. We sprinted. Sierra unlocked the back door so fast and shoved it open. We ran out into the yard and climbed over a fence that definitely wasn't meant for climbing. I scratched my arm and ripped part of my shirt on the wood. She scraped her knee and almost fell, but kept going. We didn't stop running until we were out on the street, far from those perfect houses. She bent over and cried for a second, telling me she was sorry over and over. I didn't yell. I didn't hug her either. I just stood there trying to understand what the hell I just got dragged into. She said she couldn't take me home because they'd probably be calling the police. So I ordered a ride and left her standing there by the road, makeup running down her face, shaking. I blocked her as soon as I got inside the car. Not even to be rude. I just don't want to live inside someone else's dreams again, especially not when they belong to strangers who could walk in any second. I always thought dating apps were kind of a joke. You scroll, laugh at a few weird bios, match with someone who either ghosts you or wants something way too fast, and then you delete the app again like nothing happened. But then I matched with this girl named Talia. She looked normal. Cute, actually. Brown hair, bright eyes, and this way of smiling like she already knew something about you. We clicked right away like stupid fast. She said she liked chilled nights, cheap food, and hanging out with small groups instead of loud bars. I thought that was perfect since my friends are my whole world. I'm the guy who's always around his group. Every weekend, every plan, we're together. The first time we met up was at this bowling alley near my place. Nothing fancy. We ordered fries and nachos and sat in one of those side booths while waiting for a lane. I remember talking about my guys that I always do. My best friend is Malik. We've known each other since year 4. Then there's Josh, the gym maniac who won't shut up about his protein shakes. And Kieran, who's quiet until he's drunk, and then he doesn't stop talking. Every time I said a name, she would repeat it under her breath. Not loud. Kind of like how someone repeats a phone number so they don't forget it. And she'd write it down. I noticed the pen moving in her little notebook. I thought she was taking notes for something else. I asked what she was writing, and she said she likes remembering people because anyone important to me is important to her. At the time, that sounded sweet. Maybe a little weird, but I was into her, so I ignored it. She asked a lot of questions. Where do my friends live? What do they do? How did we meet? She asked when their birthdays were. I laughed, thinking she might be planning something big and romantic in the future. She asked what kind of cars they drive. I remember thinking that one was kind of random, but I still answered every single thing. Over the next few weeks, we saw each other a lot. She kept asking for more names. Like if someone new popped up in our conversations, she'd pause and write it. Even my cousin, who I barely see. Even my coworker who just sits next to me. I joked that she was building a whole Wikipedia about my social life. She smiled and said she just wants to understand my world. I should have noticed how weird it was sooner. She didn't talk about her own friends. Whenever I tried asking, she'd give tiny answers like they were boring, like they barely mattered. She avoided introducing me to anyone, but she always wanted to hear more from me, always pressing for another detail, another story, another name. One night, she'd asked me to tell her everything about Malik. She asked if he had siblings, where he worked, if he was usually at home around 6 p.m. She kept typing so fast on her phone that she wasn't even looking at me. And when I asked why she needed all of that, she just said she was trying to feel connected to the people I care about. She touched my hand and I let it go. Maybe the biggest mistake I've made. After about a month, my group started acting weird. In the group chat, Malik asked why I had told him to meet me at some random supermarket parking lot late at night. I said I never did. He sent a screenshot. It was someone texting him from a new number. The messages looked like something I would write, the way I typed, even how I joke. Another message told him not to mention it in our group chat. The next morning, Josh said someone pretending to be me messaged him too, asking if he was free to come help me with a flat tire. Kieran said he got a text from me asking him to send his home address again because I lost it. They all read the messages out loud, and they sounded exactly like me. I felt sick. I asked them to block the number and not answer anything else. We all joked about scams in the past, but this wasn't some random scammer. This person knew my friends' names, their habits, their schedules, everything I had told Talia. I tried calling her, straight to voicemail. I went to her flat and knocked. There was no answer. The curtains were closed and dark inside. I messaged her, the message never delivered. It was like she just disappeared in one night. That's when my phone buzzed. Unknown number. You shouldn't have shared your world. I felt my heart drop. There wasn't anything else in that message, and I couldn't even tell if it was supposed to be threatening. But I felt like I'd done something really stupid. My whole body felt cold. I told my friends. All of them freaked out. We agreed not to answer any random messages, and if we ever got anything weird from my number again, we would confirm in the group chat first. I thought that was the end of it. Just some creepy obsession that would fade once she got bored. But 2 nights later, Malik tells us someone knocked on his door. Hard. He asked who it was, and they said nothing. Just silence. He didn't open it. He said he heard someone scribbling on a piece of paper through the door, then footsteps walking away. He waited. Then he opened the door, thinking maybe it was just a parcel or something. On the floor was a white note, and in the middle of it, my name written over and over and over again. The same handwriting I saw in Talia's little notebook. Then Josh said he saw someone outside his window. A girl. Standing across the street, just staring. He couldn't see her face clearly in the dark, but he said she looked familiar. He tried to get a picture, but by the time he switched his phone on, she was gone. Now everyone is paranoid. Every time someone hears a knock, they think it's her. Everyone double-checks doors and windows. Malik sleeps with a baseball bat in his room. I feel like I'm the reason for all of this. I gave her everything she needed. I handed over the map of the people closest to me without even stopping to think why she wanted it. Last night, I woke up and saw my phone glowing. I had one new note saved in my files. I definitely didn't write it. It just says, "Everyone important to you is important to me." I deleted the dating app. I changed my number. But somehow she still has ways to get to us. And if she's really out there, watching, writing, knowing where everyone is right now, then I messed up badly. If she ever comes back and asks for more names, I have none left to give. But she already has my whole world in her hands. I always think the worst type of scary isn't monsters or murderers or people with knives. It's the feeling when someone looks normal, acts normal, and then mid-date you find out they've been lying about something huge, but they keep staring at you like nothing is wrong. That's the kind of scary that sticks. So yeah, I met this girl named Rena on an app. She had clean aesthetic pictures, like the type where everything is color matched, and she always looks like she's laughing at a joke only she can hear. I liked her energy. Also, I was bored, so I swiped right. We talked for 2 days straight. I thought that was a good sign. She said she loved nice things, fancy restaurants, big houses, dressing up for no reason. She said she was tired of boys who don't know how to treat her. She said I seemed different. I was eating ramen in bed when she said that, but okay, thanks. She sent me a pin saying we could hang at her place on Saturday. I Google mapped it, and the house looked like something out of a magazine. White walls, giant windows, trees shaped like they cost more than my whole flat. I asked if she really lived there, and she said she does. She said I'd be impressed. I turned up wearing my nicest hoodie and deodorant I actually remembered. She opened the tall glass door and waved me inside like she'd been lived there forever. The floor was so shiny I could see my dumb, nervous face staring back at me. She looked like she belonged there. She walked around barefoot like it was her kingdom. She told me to sit while she made us drinks. I sat on the comfiest sofa I'd ever felt. She came back with 2 glasses of some red drink and told me not to spill anything. I laughed, but she didn't. I took a tiny sip just in case. I noticed a giant framed photo above the fireplace, a family of 4 wearing matching blue outfits, smiling like they invented happiness. Rena wasn't in the picture. I pointed to it and asked if that was her family. She looked up, froze, then said, "Oh no, that's the old owners." She quickly added that she's waiting for her own photos to arrive. I didn't push more, but it was weird. She talked a lot, like nonstop, about how she always knew she'd end up in a place like this. How she was meant for luxury. How people underestimate her, but actually she's smarter than they think. She asked if I could seek her living like this forever. I didn't know what answer she wanted, so I just smiled. She asked if I'd ever thought about settling down, like actually living somewhere nice with someone who gets me. I said maybe one day, yeah. She nodded like I passed a test. She showed me around like a proud host. Giant kitchen, backyard with a pool, bathroom with a mirror that had better lighting than any filter. She kept saying mine a lot, my kitchen, my pool, my house. I pretended not to notice the expensive-looking mail on the kitchen island addressed to someone named Mark and someone named Laura. Then something happened that changed the entire mood. The front gate buzzer went off. She jumped, like genuinely panicked. She walked to the window and peeked through the blinds so fast her hair whipped around. She whispered, "Oh no, oh no, oh no," like a broken record. She told me not to move. She rushed to the entry tablet on the wall and stared at the camera feed. A man and woman stood by the gate, both dressed nicely, holding shopping bags. The woman was tapping something on a keypad. The man was unlocking the gate with an actual key. I asked if she was okay. She turned and grabbed me, her voice shaking but somehow still trying to sound calm. She said we had to go upstairs. Now, I asked why. She said the owners were early. Owners. My chest tightened. I asked what she meant by owners. She said, yeah, well, technically, she didn't own the house yet, but she would. She said she just needed time for plans to work out. She said they wouldn't understand. She kept tugging my arm harder. I pulled away. I told her I needed to know what was going on. She stared at me with these wide eyes like she was begging me not to ruin whatever fantasy she built. She said she wanted to show me the life we could have. She said it made her feel like she belonged. The door downstairs unlocked. I heard voices. Real voices. Laughing like normal people coming home from a normal shopping trip. Rena froze. She whispered run, but she didn't move herself. I stepped back because suddenly I felt like I was part of something very wrong. I didn't know if I was in danger, but I didn't want to wait to find out. I mouth sorry and headed toward the back door. She grabbed my wrist one more time, not rough but desperate. She asked me not to leave. She said if I left, it would mean I didn't believe in her. She said I'd ruin everything. Downstairs, footsteps approached. Someone saying hello loudly. She let go, sighed like I had stabbed her in the heart, and walked straight toward the couple entering the living room. I slipped out the back quietly and walked fast down the long driveway until I reached the street. My phone buzzed nonstop. Messages from Rena. At first they said, come back, we can fix this. Then they said they didn't deserve that house. Then she said I was supposed to help her prove she belonged there. Then she said I should have stayed upstairs with her. I blocked her before the next notification. That night, I checked her profile again. Gone. Wiped. No sign she ever existed. 2 days later, I got a new match. No pictures, just one line in the bio. Do you believe me now? The location tag said near you. I deleted the app and turned off my phone. But sometimes outside my window, I swear I hear footsteps like someone pacing on a fancy tile floor and imagining it's theirs. I never thought downloading a dumb dating app because I was bored would end up being the worst decision I ever made. I was just chilling one night after work, scrolling through random profiles. Then I matched with this girl called Leah. Her profile wasn't crazy or weird, just normal pics. Gym mirror selfie, her at some festival with friends, and a cute one with her dog. Nothing that screamed danger. She said she lived in the same city as me, worked from home, and liked trying new food spots. Her vibe felt easy. Chill. Exactly what I wanted. We talked for like a week. Every day. Morning to night. She kept saying how comfortable she felt talking to me, like she already knew me. I thought she was just flirting, just trying to make it sweet. She would ask a lot about me, though. My childhood, what I liked in school, who I lived with before, what places I go to regularly. Stuff that felt a bit deep early on, but it didn't feel like a threat. I thought maybe she was just one of those people who want a proper connection. Eventually, she asked if I wanted to come to hers for dinner. Instead of just a restaurant, she wanted to cook. I wasn't going to complain about free food and a cozy night. She sent me her address, and it wasn't far from me, like a 20-minute bus ride. Perfect. It was a quiet evening when I went. Her street was normal. Nothing like those scary stories with abandoned houses or weird neighbors staring through curtains. She opened the door quick after I knocked like she'd been waiting right behind it. She looked just as good as her pics. Even better, actually. She grabbed my arm and pulled me in like we were already dating. I was actually kind of hyped. The house inside looked clean, smelled like something sweet baking, and soft music was playing from the living room. She gave me a tour like she was proud of the whole place. The kitchen looked cute, tidy lights are on shelves, pastel blue cabinets. She had some candles lit too. She kept staring at me while showing everything, like watching my reactions very carefully. It didn't feel creepy yet, just intense. When we got upstairs, she said she had a surprise for after dinner at something special she had planned. We ate pasta and some salad she made herself. She barely touched her food, though. She just kept looking up at me, asking if I liked it. I kept saying yeah. She was smiling hard every time I said it. It got to a point where I stopped looking her in the eyes because it felt like she was reading my brain. After dinner, she told me the surprise was upstairs in the last room. She held my hand while leading me there. The house was normal, but the hallway to that room had no pictures or decorations. Just plain walls. It suddenly felt colder. She stopped in front of the door and said something like she had been waiting for this moment. She opened the door and said I should go in first. I walked inside and froze. The whole room was covered in birthday decorations, pink and gold. Balloons everywhere. There were banners across the walls that said happy birthday. Confetti on the floor. A cake in the middle of the table with candles ready to be lit. But the worst part wasn't the decorations. The cake had my full legal name on it. First name. Middle name. My long, difficult surname that barely anyone spells right. And under my name was a date. My birthday. The day I was born. I never told her that. Not once. I definitely didn't put it on the app either. I checked afterwards. It wasn't anywhere public. And no one calls me by my full name except like my bank and my passport. I stepped back, but she was already right behind me. She closed the door slowly, like she was enjoying every second. She kept saying she couldn't believe the day finally came. She said we were meant for each other, and tonight was gonna prove it. She said she had been preparing this for weeks. She said that now everything I ever wanted was right here with her. I wasn't thinking clearly. I just kept saying no in my head. I wanted to run, but the way she positioned herself made it hard to even move toward the door. She walked over to a drawer and pulled out a small notebook. She said it was everything she had read about me. She said she had known me way before the app. Then she opened the first page. It was a photo I thought was deleted, one from years ago when I was still in college. Me at my old bus stop. Then another that I remember taking inside a store, but never posting anywhere. Then screenshots of my private socials. Stuff I had only let like 2 people see back in the day. She kept turning pages. Pictures of me in places I didn't even know she could have been near. Old posts of mine where every detail was highlighted and commented on like she studied them. She said she always liked me. Since the first moment she saw me in real life. I don't even remember seeing her before, but apparently she remembered me so much that she collected every bit of info she could find. She said she followed my mom's Facebook years ago and saved everything that mentioned birthdays. Things like when family posted group pictures. She said the date wasn't just a date to her. It was destiny. I told her I needed air. I tried to keep calm because freaking out would just make everything worse. I said I needed the toilet. Her eyes scanned me like she was deciding if she should believe me. Then she slowly nodded and stepped aside, but said she'd wait by the door. I went into the bathroom and locked it. My heart was punching my ribs from the inside. I opened the window, but it was too small to climb through. The only option was to get out past her. I kept breathing and thought through everything quick. I flushed the toilet to make it sound normal and opened the door a crack. She was right there smiling, holding one of those party blowers between her fingers like some weird joke. I forced a laugh and said I wanted to take a pic of the decorations first because I never had something like that. She giggled and ran inside the room excited, ready to pose or something. That was the moment I bolted. Straight down the stairs. I didn't look back. I almost fell on the steps. I crashed into one of her chairs in the hallway, but I didn't stop. I yanked the door open and ran into the street. I kept running until my legs burned. I didn't even grab my jacket. I didn't check behind me because I was scared she'd be right there. I didn't go home and eat it. I waited outside a 24-hour shop until I could breathe again, then ordered a ride. I blocked her everywhere, but the next morning I woke up to an email. She wrote that she wasn't finished celebrating us, that she would see me soon, and the subject line was just my birthday date. People joke that dating apps are cursed. I always laughed at that. thinking it was just memes and people being dramatic. Then I met her. And now I actually think these apps should come with a warning label or something. I matched with this girl called Maya on a random Wednesday afternoon. She wasn't like the usual heavy filtered profiles. She had normal pics, messy hair, a hoodie in most of them, and her smiles looked real. She messaged first saying I looked familiar. I thought that was just a line like something people say when they want to break the ice. We talked for a few days. Mostly dumb stuff like which fast food is overrated and who sleeps with socks on. She was funny, always making jokes that kind of made no sense but somehow still made me laugh. She told me she mostly stayed home because she did online uni stuff and didn't really go out much. I believed her. She looked like a home person. Nothing weird about that. She asked if I wanted to come over and watch some movies. Her place wasn't far from mine, like a short bus ride. She sent me the address, and the building she lived in was one of those modern apartments with coated entrances and metal balconies. When she opened the door, she looked exactly like her pics. Same hoodie vibe, hair tied up like she didn't care what anyone thought. She was super casual, almost too casual compared to how nervous I felt going to a girl's place for the first time. Inside, her apartment looked tidy, but almost like no one really lived there. The couch was plain, the walls were almost empty, and there were only like 2 plants. She said she liked keeping things simple. She had this small light on behind the couch that made the room kind of cozy, though. We sat down, and she let me choose a movie. Everything still felt normal at this point. Then something started to feel off. It wasn't anything huge, just her eyes. She kept looking past me. Not just glancing either. It was like she was checking something behind me over and over. At first, I thought she just had anxiety or maybe expected a package or roommate to show up. But the way she looked over my shoulder wasn't like she was expecting someone. It was like she was watching someone already there. I tried turning around casually to see if maybe her cat or something was behind me, but there was nothing. Just a blank wall with a little shelf. I didn't say anything because I didn't want to sound dumb or paranoid this early. We kept watching the movie, but I couldn't relax. Every few minutes, she would stare right behind my neck, like super focused. Sometimes she would adjust her position just to get a better angle. I asked her if everything was all right, and she nodded, smiling way too fast, like she wanted to shut that question down. The smile didn't reach her eyes. They were wide and alert, like she was listening to something I couldn't hear. I told myself to stop being dramatic. Maybe she had neck pain or something. Maybe she was just awkward. I forced myself to keep watching the movie. But now I was fully aware that something was going on behind my back. She paused the movie halfway and said I should grab some drinks from the fridge while she used the toilet. She pointed toward the kitchen and walked down the hall. I waited for a second and then got up. When I walked toward the kitchen, I passed the back of the couch and finally saw the wall she kept staring at. There was this tiny hole. Dead center. Not a crack or decoration. A perfect small hole like someone drilled through the wall. I leaned closer and felt this rush in my chest. There was a small, faint red blinking light inside it. I stepped back fast, upping into the couch. That was not normal. That was not something in a regular flat. That was a camera. My heart started racing so fast I thought I'd pass out. She was looking behind me the whole time because she was watching what the camera saw. That's why she kept checking. Something clicked in my head and I felt sick. Someone wasn't just watching me in this room. They were watching me before I even knew there was something to be watched. I pulled out my phone and turned on my hotspot because I didn't want to use her Wi-Fi. I typed in camera blink read through wall stream, and the first thing that popped up was how people put hidden cameras behind walls to live stream. Live stream. My face went hot. I was in someone's live stream like an idiot sitting on that couch while they watched from who knows where. I opened the browser properly and typed the building's Wi-Fi name with the word stream next to it, just guessing. A webpage popped up. No joke. A live stream screen loading. When it loaded, I nearly dropped my phone. It was the back of my head. Same lighting. Same couch. Same angle she kept staring at. Someone was watching this right now. In the corner of the screen, there was a tiny chat. People writing weird comments. Stuff like, "Don't look behind you," and "He finally noticed." That one hit me like a punch. My throat closed up. They knew exactly what was happening. I turned around super slow, like maybe I'd see someone, but the wall was just a wall. I didn't hear her in the bathroom anymore. No toilet flush. No water. Just silence that made everything scarier. I needed to go. I needed to run. I tried to move, but I was frozen. I kept staring at the hole like something was going to crawl out of it. Then I snapped out of it and grabbed my bag. I put my phone in my pocket and headed straight to the door without even calling her name. I didn't want her to come out. The door was locked, the kind of lock that needed a key from the inside, not a twist lock. The key wasn't there. I turned around a little and suddenly she was standing in the hall staring at me. She wasn't smiling anymore. She held her phone in her hand with the camera app open like she was filming me for a second view. I didn't even think. I sprinted past her. I shoved her shoulder and she stumbled. I didn't wait to see what she did next. I ran to the balcony door and ripped it open. The drop wasn't huge. First floor. I jumped. I landed badly on my ankle, but I didn't stop. I limped across the parking area until I made it to the street. Only when I was far enough did I look back. She was standing on the balcony staring down at me with her phone still up. When I got home, I checked the live stream again. It was still running, but now the angle was pointed at the front door like they were waiting for someone else to walk in. The chat was saying I'd be back soon. Calling me by my name. They knew it. Somehow they knew it. I reported the app, deleted everything, blocked her, changed my socials, changed my locks. But sometimes I still swear I see a light blinking in corners of rooms I'm in like they're still watching, just waiting for a better shot.